I'm obsessed with that
Whoa!
intro, dude.
I just wanted to like freestyle, right? Just like cipher, cipher,
That
cipher.
is fire.
I love that, man. It's a nice 1-2 punch, Journey. That's really cool, man.
Hey, thanks, Lay. We
What?
taking our info into consideration. Like, everything's a collaboration. Genius is a
Everything's a collaboration. Nothing's original.
John, that background is epic.
I know,
Thank
dude.
you.
Why are you stealing my designs, John?
I'm in a different place. I'm in a different place, so I had to put a background. I'm in the office. There's like self-tape thing going on in the back.
Oh
I know
wow.
I had a whole chair right here. I had to move that thing. Clean the place up.
We need that background. Yeah. So yeah, Lay, let's kick us off.
All right, welcome back to another Everyone's a Genius episode. This is the team. We here with it. We got Richard, John, Matt, Journey, myself, Lay. And, this week is Journey's week, so we get to tap into his mind a little bit, see what he's been thinking about. Maybe we'll learn something.
Maybe.
We always learn something. We always learn something when Journey speaks.
Right.
He don't waste his breath.
True that.
You don't waste
going on? Priest.
Probably Priest. What's going on? So this week, man, it was so hard to kind of really come up with some things, because I mean it takes a bunch of things to actually just make one thing, and starting with ourselves. It took two parents to make us, and it takes a group of people to come up with a really great thing that's going to work in the world, save humanity or whatever it may be, down to the simple things like the toilet paper. This is a factory of people that's making the simple things like that. So I wanted to jump behind the stuff that we use and really focus on emotional intelligence, EI. All this AI stuff. What's up with EI, emotional intelligence? How do we exercise that day to day? How do we even strengthen that, on a level? And I know it goes back to, my relationship with my spouse. It's like sometimes I don't know how to navigate things. I don't know how to speak to her about certain things, and I think we all are growing in our emotional intelligence space daily, and especially going into leadership and so on. I think that as much as we're looking forward to the technology, it's changing things. I think technology is going to allow us a lot more time to really focus on that space of things, which is the emotional intelligence part. So I wanted to touch on that, man. I'll circle back to myself, but I wanted to pick you guys' brain on a level where you had to use emotional intelligence. Intelligence wasn't just enough in that relationship or that business transaction and so on and so forth, where your emotional intelligence had to kick in. So I want to start with you, Lay, since you're at the top. Give me a perspective or a time that, your schooling, your prestigious education just wasn't enough. You had to like use your intuition and all those other humanistic things.
All right. Just throw it in there. Here I am. Okay. I think most of the time my prestigious education is not enough. I would say most days, most times. there have been many instances in workplaces where being smart isn't really what people are looking for from you. They're looking to be validated. They're looking to feel seen. They're looking to feel important. And that can be coworkers, that can be bosses. I think, being a good employee sometimes means managing up, and that definitely takes emotional intelligence. Being a good leader definitely takes emotional intelligence and tapping into what the team needs, those sort of deeper psychological needs. Um, so, yeah, I think it comes in handy all the time. That's what I got.
Okay. Matt, can you think of any time where you're really impressing someone with your knowledge and your brain power, and it just wasn't sticking, and you had to, really, really dig deep into the emotional side of that person that you were trying to get through to?
Man, Journey, it's crazy. You took your week to challenge everybody on the spot. It's great.
Hard one. Everything I do is with emotion, so it's hard to
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to pick out a specific moment though, because that's for sure been the case. I mean, I think probably in my last role, when I was interviewing, I was working for a tech company, a new tech company, a wallet, and they obviously saw that I had the credentials to do marketing, but it was more about how can I make the person who's interviewing me feel just good about the conversation we had, just like make, and it's not about trying to show off and trying to pull out theory and all of these things that, we have in the back of our mind, but it's more about like coming up with a good conversation piece and just being able to hone in on what makes people happy. And that, I think that's a very different thing for each person that we talk to, because everybody has their own experiences and their own EI, right? So just kind of paying attention to that and being able to go through these interviews, and then at the end of it, it's not like you do 4 rounds of interviews. How much do they really need to know, right? It's more about like them walking away like, yeah, he made me feel good so he can make other people feel good. And it's not about the strategy or anything like that. I mean, those are the things that come after the feeling, you know.
Yeah.
But let's go to the next part. I'll come up with something specific, but that to me felt like the last time that I really used that. I mean, even when we met Alluvio for the first time and we were sitting down talking with Michelle. I mean, it wasn't us waving our credentials and experience. It was just having a good conversation and just getting excited about what we were doing, and getting everybody excited. And they did the same with us.
Yeah, yeah. You touched on you covered a lot, because I mean, just emotional intelligence is self-awareness, is self-management, is social awareness, and it's relationship management. All of those cylinders are firing at one single time, and you're gauging and finding what's relatable in those moments to actually throw back at a person, or even from a listening standpoint, and repeating them to get a better understanding. It's more than just going for what you want. And I think that's where we kind of lose out if we don't have much emotional intelligence, or we don't actually exercise that. we go in and get blinded by what we want from that person so much that it's like, well, I did this, I did that. And it's like, hold on, man, I'm here to know you, and not what you want, but just know you as a person, that you can handle even the things that's going to be thrown out. So it's a lot that happens in the brain when emotional intelligence happen. But let's go to John and see if you have any instances, and it doesn't even have to be work. It could be with your girlfriend or something like that, where you really had to tap into her side of things to see what she was saying in that moment.
No, I was gonna say, like, it's not usually at work. I mean, you always deal with. I mean, you have to be emotionally intelligent to, like, I guess, survive in the world. A little bit. You don't need, like. I mean, I think it's very basic things. Like reading other people's, like, emotions, or like how they. Like if you're saying something that, like, offends someone, you can tell from their look, and then you can, like, dial back, yeah, or stuff like that, where you're like, okay, maybe I don't need, like, to make a point that much, if it really upsets you, or, like, stuff like that, where it's like sort of, I mean, it depends on your character too. Some people just, like, you realize it, but you feed out, like, people like that challenge, like, I don't necessarily, like, love, like, that conflict. Like, at work, it's very, I guess I try to be more, like, appeal to people's, like, intelligence a bit more than their, like, emotions. Cause then, like, I think I've had, like, good leaders who appreciate that, cause then they don't like the mind games. If you think of it as, like, mind games, they don't like to be, like, manipulate you with, like, like, emotional tricks, or, like, you don't want to try to manipulate them with emotional tricks. You want to be a bit more, like, it's about the work, but obviously you want to be, like cordial and, like, I guess, respectful of, like, other people's opinions. But that's not necessarily, I guess that is emotional intelligence to it, that in that case. I'm thinking of, like, specifics, not necessarily. I mean, but it's those things, overall. Obviously with, like, my girlfriend, and, like, you always have to be, like, relate a bit more to the emotions than, like, the. I mean, I guess, like, it depends. There's, like, different. I think there's really different thought exercises, right? Someone can say you can really appeal to their, like senses, like basically, like, their intelligence, because then that makes the argument about the argument, But I guess it's important to not make other people feel like, even if you're right, sometimes it's okay to not be, right, if it's going to make them feel, like, better.
Yeah. Your perspectives are on point, and it made me think about social media. How could you use emotional intelligence in social media settings? You're not really around this person, and you're not really listening. You're just kind of, gauging words and reading and so on and so forth. So, you kind of respond to what you feel is right. So it doesn't leave room to gauge any sort of interactive, sort of nonverbal information that may be thrown.
Yeah, it amplifies all of the worst things, I guess, because then there's no, like, immediate, like danger to you, right? By being, like, in conflict physically. Like, it's okay if you just type some stuff and, like, you're anonymous or whatever, so you don't get any, like, what you say doesn't have consequences necessarily sometimes, like, let's say on, like, a YouTube comment section. But, like, if you want to be, like an asshole to, like, your girlfriend, then it has, like, consequences, or, like, to your friends, if you're mean to them, then it has consequences, but it doesn't have much consequences sometimes, online, all these, like, fake name people writing.
Yeah. I think that's the part that I mean, once you grow into, like, a leadership formal way of doing things, it's kind of really hard to fake it, Like, you can come off in a way, first off, like, all right, cool, I care about things and so on and so forth. Is going to show in some sort of way if you're really real about, people, or you're not real about people. I think it's a slippery slope when it comes to things. But Rashard, with you being who you are, and I mean, so many people looking up to you and watching your videos and so on and so forth, how do you keep that humanity within inside of you, man? Because you're very, very good with people. We recognize that, like, first off, when we first met you, you were like genuine. Like, we felt your genuineness.
Well, it's all through age, really, because the more you go through, the more emotionally intelligent you get through experience. Like, you can tell when people go through stuff, or just you relate, you have compassion, you just read things different. Like, you never know what anybody's going through. So, like, why not just give them a smile? Like, you don't have to be mean, you don't have to do all that crazy shit, but I just feel like through life comes emotional intelligence, like experiences that you have growing up, things that happen to you. It makes you think different, it challenges you in different ways. And then, like, with other people, you could see those experiences that you've had in them, so you go about it differently. It's just like how I see it.
I feel like even your answer, though, Richard, shows what a kind, empathic, growth mindset kind of person that you are, because I know plenty of people who have aged and not grown, who have been through things and
It's hard.
Don't put compassion first, don't put themselves in other people's shoes, don't try to like, there's so many people who think if you're just right and you're just logical, then people should get over themselves and that should be all it takes.
Yeah,
I think you showed that you're a compassionate person.
I would say when I was young, like maybe 20, 21, I lost pretty much both my parents. Okay. So I don't have those people to go to talk to relate to have problems. So I ended up just talking to myself. Like, there's two of me in my head. There's what I want to do, then there's the reason. And it goes back and forth constantly until whatever it is solved. And that's basically what I've been doing for 20 years. So, like, through my experience of things, I could see it in other people. And that's just how I get through everything.
That's crazy that you say that, because there's a quote that's out there: the nicest people go through the toughest things in life.
Yeah.
And it goes to show you that it's true, because the more things that you go through, when you approach a problem, you're looking at the dynamics of it now. It's like, and I know that can come off insensitive sometime, where something happens and you're like, oh, no one died or something like that. Like I said the other day, no one died, so let's just keep going with life. It's like, wow, if you unpack that, that's like a person that went through a lot, and they've seen things or had experiences where people didn't walk away from that situation. So it's a better sort of approach towards solving problems. It's like, yo, everybody breathing, you guys are good, okay, cool, say you sorry and let's move on.
Just like you're saying, like, the best example is road rage. If someone cuts you off and you dodge them and you get back and everybody is straight, there ain't no reason to trip, because you're a good driver. You avoided a crash. That person didn't crash. So just keep it moving. But people will just get so crazy and then they'll end up crashing.
Man, shout out to LA for that, because
straight up
all day, every day.
405, 101, 110.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely an approach that I take to how I handle, being a leader in different spheres, as well as with VSN, because I know we're all very, very capable people of doing incredible things, right? But it's not just about, logically, because you're talented and you're able to, you should be doing all this stuff, and you should have all this forward, and getting on people like, hey, you have the equipment, you have the talent, what's going on? You should be doing this. And it's like, at the end of the day, we have to be able to get into not somebody's mind, but get into somebody's heart, right? And be like, what's going on? Like, how are you feeling? Like, what's happening? And really, really care and understand, not like why someone's not doing something, but like how they're doing.
That's a real boss. They work for the people. The people don't work for them.
Yeah.
100.
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes into you know, just seeing how different leaders work. You got some leaders that, you know, they work by the whip. You know, they everyone's scared of them and everything like that. So, you know, you have whoever the employee is, they're always plotting their escape, you know, because the abuse and so on and so forth. And then you have the polar opposite leader where, you know, it just seems like it's the chocolate factory going on, and everyone's happy, and you know the paycheck's good, and the vacation time is good, and the family time is good. It's like someone, you know, have a family emergency. It's not like a dire need or something like that. You know, you have the other employee stepping up and like, hey, Rick, go take care of your family. We'll be there. I'm like, wow, what is that? Because this is how I want our company to be, where, you know, people are, you know, just killing it. You know, it doesn't take 8 hours to do a great thing in a day. Sometimes it takes one. If you can kill your work within that hour, it's like you deserve your 7 hours of solitude or whatever you want to do. Go eat some ice cream or something like that. It's like, it's not by management. And I think as this technology move forward, we're gonna see, all right, cool, man. You got these tools that you know that's really giving you time off from your job. Why not work a 4-hour work week? You know, if our company is doing good and you can show that, man, you can pull in some things where, you know, you can get things done. It's like, why not? You know, this is what I think these times are about. And I think everyone's going to become a leader. You're going to see more leaders that come from these times than anything, because one, you're going to have to manage your relationships. Two, you're going to have to manage the technology because it's not going to drive itself. And three, what are you going to do with that spare time? Are you going to level up as a person? Are you going to get healthier? Like, are you going to start like paying attention to your own levels? Like, what are we going to do with that spare time? And that's like, what would you do with an extra, starting with you, like, what would you do with an extra 20 hours in a week? Like, where you had zero going on. You were just looking at this time like, man,
She's like pina colada, beach.
the heck?
Absolutely, I would be on the beach. I would be on. I would be reading. I would be meditating. I would be feeling good. I'd be learning how to fish. I mean, honestly, like, I feel really lucky because in a lot of ways, right now I get to do the things that I want to do. I do take time for myself. I do eat healthy. I do level up. I do work on my skills. You know, I want to be better at building my relationships during these times. You know, I think sometimes we get into level up mode and we isolate. And so I want to do a better job of connecting through growth. I love the concept of technology lessening the time it takes us to accomplish tasks and hopefully lessening that stress, because I think what gets in the way of our relationships and our ability to effectively execute emotional intelligence is often stress. We get so stressed that we don't use our skills of emotional intelligence. You know, we're not. Do you have in front of you, Journey, the aspects of emotional intelligence?
Absolutely, I do.
Can we go over those again?
Sure. Defining the components of EI, emotional intelligence. It is self-awareness, it's self-management, social awareness, and relationship management.
Yeah.
Those-
And I think
Yeah.
relationship management, self-management, these are things that can become really difficult when you're stressed. Like, it's really, at times, I think, you know, taking it out of the workplace and into the personal, that's a huge thing. We get into arguments with people we love and we care about, and we stop looking at how we're talking to them, how we're saying the things that we're saying. You know, we stop managing ourselves and we start trying to manage and control them. Well, you just need to do this. And if you just did that, then I would feel better. And it's like, well, what about me? Like, I can have some self-awareness in this moment. I can have a little bit of management of myself. So this is like, yeah, it's my roundabout way of, we
self-awareness, man. Managing your emotions, controlling the room. Yeah, it's all connected. Like most people will just, you know, they blow up instantly or they talk before they think. Like you don't have to speak if you don't know the answer. You don't have to speak. You can take a second. Like you don't have to say the first thing that's in your head and then regret it. You don't have to. It's hard to hold back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, what would you do with that extra 20? You know, if you
Me?
time or Trey, you can go. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Trey Day.
Me, I would probably be out performing somewhere. I think I would love to be back, you know, on stages, you know, connecting with artists and just expressing myself really, because I think that for me is one of the main ways that I actually process a lot of the emotions that I have. You know, I think I take a lot of I take a lot of time to be aware of how I communicate and with people, and I'm always thinking about, you know, how they're gonna feel, and I don't really take enough time to think about how I'm feeling about certain situations. And so I think if I had those extra 20 hours, I would write some music and go perform it and, you know, resonate with some people in that way, you know.
That's like I feel that 100%. That's just like me going to the skate park or going to skate to release, and it makes your gears turn, and you just come up with ideas and thoughts, just like if you're playing basketball, Matt. I mean Trey. But anyways, I feel like those physical activities is what like also makes you brainstorm and think and allow you to clear your head. Very essential to do self-care.
Yeah.
Especially meditation and stuff like that. Like you got to tap in. You have to tap in because once you do, you unlock so much shit.
Yeah. John, what about you, man? How would you utilize that extra space and time?
I think I'll be like working out and spend time with like my friends more, I guess, and like yeah, I think it's like I think you always have enough time, even if you're working like 50 hours a week. But it's like
What about 80?
I mean, then no, but like if you're working like 40, I think you're sort of fine. Some, you know, like you have enough
You're
time.
super fine, yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. Like, but it's like I feel like I could do everything by working 40 hours, but also you can like I would just spend more time with like people I want to spend time with, you know. Because I feel like that's what you end up not doing. Like if you really value about like health, like meditation, like working out and like reading and stuff like that, then there really isn't that much more time. Like you leave the house and you like I go to the office at like 9 and then you're there for like until and you're back at 7, but then you wake up and you work out and you do all of your like whatever. If you want to read or like meditate, you do it in the morning and you come back and you want to cook, you know, and then blah, and it's like 9. And to do that, you want to be in bed at 10. So you only have like an hour to like really like decompress, you know. So you would have more time to like hang out with people.
Mm-hmm. That's true. It's the best feeling.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to hear this because everyone says this with any extra time that they have, they will be engaging with others and communing and so on and so forth. So we should see the future, our next like 20 to 25 years, we're totally different human beings. We're less depressed, we're more engaging, we're more compassionate about what's going on. Business is being handled, whether it's being programmed from a distant or like what we did with our company. We built our company online, basically. We should see more people a little bit more happier. And this goes into the statistics of just men, period, over the past, like even before the pandemic. Um, you know, you got 30% of men feeling lonely, feel like they don't have, actual close friends anymore, or the few close friends, they're being separated by some disagreement or some so on. And then you have, just the age of social media, kids are not having sex. So that's basically decreasing the population. Where are we going to be in the next 30 years if we're not engaging, if we're not, understanding that there's more intelligence than just, a technical intelligence, and so on and so forth. So, with more time, as we saw, I mean, it should be more engagement. It should be more togetherness. And that's what I think it really, really takes to be a genius. Because when you're not communion, you're feeling isolated. Your thoughts ain't on point. You have no one to bounce ideas with. You just feel like, wow, am I good enough? Am I this or that? Instead of being around some people that like really, really think that you got a great thing going and can tell you that. So it's going to be a very interesting few years to see what type of company we build first, because I care about what we doing.
Yeah.
And the fact that we are, into this city building, like what type of programs are we going to have for these kids? If they're going to be spending time online, it got to look better than Web 2, than just hand-to-hand combat on Twitter about things you like and dislike. It has to be something else that we can insert into our world. And to see what that is. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm seeing more conversations like this happening between people, and more meetups. Like, we got to meet up. We got to meet up more.
Gotta meet up.
What would you do, Journey?
Man, wow. That's a good
I
question.
haven't thought about it.
It's a great question, man, because as I'm listening to you guys, I'm learning. First of all, every time you guys talk, I'm listening, man. I'm more quiet because I know I'm around some really intelligent people that really, really thinks about things. Like they're not just taking it for what it's worth and kind of throwing things out there. So I'm learning from what you guys. I think it'll be just a combination of everything. I want to build better relationships with people, because I'm, as a leader, looking for people to hire. I'm looking for more leaders. I'm looking for managers. I'm looking for CEOs. I'm looking for CTOs. I'm going to look out for like the best human beings ever, because I see a space that's it's a gap in a space. Like, people are not actually applying for leadership jobs. They're just applying, just to get some paper. I want, more leaders, and these are the leaders that may was overlooked during times of like, hey man, I'm not so popular, man. I got 50 people following me. But your ethical drive, your emotional intelligence is on point, but you're being looked over by a person that, have like 350 million that, is doing marketing to like put himself out there. I want to find those diamonds in the rough, man. I think I would be putting more time into just really, really looking for that leadership, man, because that's what's going to get us to the next level. We need teachers. We need better teachers. And I'm not talking about just curriculum teachers. I'm talking about like people that are teaching from that emotional intelligence, finding that child and saying, you're not good at math, but you're killing it in science. Let's just put you in those programs and then let that child thrive in those programs. So it's, make a long story short, I'm on the lookout just for leadership, for my self-growth and for the growth of just teams and just being around great people, man, because great people build great institutions and great corporations and great products. So
Yes, sir.
I think that was really tangible at South by Southwest. You know, like
Yeah.
obviously we were all very talented and we all had a lot of knowledge and experience, but that's not really what we led with. You know what I'm saying? Like when people came across us, they could just they felt like it was a safe place to to just express themselves and do them. And then they learned some things because they felt like they could learn some things, you know, and not feel judged for not knowing those things. And I think it's so important because, especially going into Web3 in this new lane, what's good, Train Ed in the chat. Um, you know, going into Web3 in this new lane, it's like there's so many people that are just trying to lead with the numbers and the theory and the technology, and people can't get past it. You know, that's not why people want to enter this space. It's because of the connectivity, like you're saying, the ability to connect with people around the world and really engage with them in meaningful experiences. And to be able to package that and that be what drives us and leads us forward. I mean, it makes me want to rethink the way that we phrase some of our stuff and just make it, you know, all about that. You know, on that, it's so funny. Like I'm about to take it in this direction after saying all that, but it's like, you know, there's three different rhetorical ways of appealing to somebody, and that's ethos, pathos, and logos. Just making sure I get it right. Yeah, like logos is logic. You're appealing to reason. You're trying to build logical arguments that make sense. When people say, well, this is how much money you make on YouTube and this is how much you can make on blockchain, that's trying to appeal to someone's logic, right? Well, logically, that makes sense as to why I would do that, right? Now, ethos is appealing to status or authority, right? And that's like, oh, we have this many followers, or, you know, I've done this, or I you know, sat on the Grammy board. Like if that's what you lead with, that's an ethos appeal, you know. And then pathos, I think, is what we're really talking about here, which is appealing to somebody's emotions. And I think that what we're seeing on social media and in recent marketing and strategy techniques is people, one, use more ethos and logos. They use authority. I'm this, that's why you should listen to me. Or this is better because of these statistics, right? That's more logos. And then when we see pathos, when we see this emotional appeals, I think they're almost abusing it, and they're trying to rile you up too much in a way where it's not like trying to make you feel like authentically good. They're trying to either make you feel some kind of euphoria or some kind of outrage in this like super exaggerated way. And I want to avoid that. Like obviously we need those other appeals, but to start with like, hey, you can really connect with people around the world and make them feel good. I mean, that's what changes the world, not the statistics and the numbers and the logic. It's people raising their vibrations, you know.
Vibrations.
And it's great point, because there's more of the people that just want to live a regular life and just kind of get ahead and take care of their family and so on and so forth, than the people that are talking the big talk, that want the followers, that want the fame and so on and so forth. That's like 2% of the world.
Yeah.
This other 98% is just putting in their 8 hours, going home, eating dinner, taking care of their family, doing a little entertainment and so on and so forth. It's this illusion of this is what it is, and this is what you need to follow. And then it's that 98% that is just like, oh, I don't know anything about that. I'm just trying to just level up and just do the next right thing. And that's where I think that's where it's at. It's the 98%. And I don't think the industry has ever been for the 98%. That's the people who buy it. That's the people who check it out. It's like you get 1 million followers, you get 1 million people that checked out your video. It's not the busy people that's checking out your video. It's not the famous people that's checking out your video. It's the people that are sitting at home that have the time to check it out. But what if there was a great message for them within your entertainment where they can feel like, wow, no one has made me feel like I was a part of it. And this is why European entertainment now on Netflix is killing it right now. They have more Asian programs, just about family life and so on and so forth. They have more inner city stuff that's taking a place in London. Like programming is really, really changing where it's more down to earth. It's not big budget. It's like, this is what happens, and this is what we're going to make a movie about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the future of where we're going as being like an entertainment company. It's like, we're going to tell regular stories. Like, that's going to be the new hot. Regular stories. I went to the store. I met a person. We went out on a date. We've been together for the last 5 years. We got married, got kids. And then, something happened. That's like, whoa, I can see myself doing that. Ain't nothing to that. I went to the beach. Beach day. That's a program. Beach day. So, I'm excited to really level down, just not level up, just level down a bit and get real eye to eye with people and say, you can do this. You got a story? Well, let's find a space for it, because guaranteed there's 50% of people that went through what you went through. That's iconic.
Exactly.
No pun intended.
Pun intended.
I feel like Rashard does a really great job of that with One Trick a Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
The
agree.
message, man. Community, love, family. You got it. Like, get up and go get it.
We really have a rare collection here of people who are able to authentically connect with others. I think everybody on our team at VSN is able to really reach in and connect to the hearts of other people. And we all have a different style and a way of doing it, but we all do that really well. And I think that's kind of what sets us apart. I think it's really beautiful. I think it's exciting.
It's our superpower.
It is our superpower, isn't it? I think it really is. So, and it's a good thing, because like, we're not perfect. And I feel like when you're able to connect with people in a real way, hopefully, I hope it takes some of the pressure off. Like, it's okay to make a mistake, or it's okay to still be learning, or it's okay to, try one thing, try another thing. You're always going to have people who want to follow along with you because you're a real person, you know? So I think that's really beautiful. And I think that, like you were saying, Journey, the everyday stories, like, technology is the great equalizer in all of these things. If anybody can use the technology to build something, to share their story, to do these great things, I think in Web3, the next iteration of connection, it really is the simple things. Because many people are simple, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay to be a little bit more simple.
Life is simple. It's supposed to be, at least.
John, I think that when you're building things, and you take into consideration the experience that people are going to have and what they're going to feel when they walk into these buildings and when they're experiencing that, is that something that like was taught, or is that just the way that you build, and like how you incorporated that into the city that's behind you, you know?
I don't know. I mean, a bunch of it is thought, like a little bit of it is like intuition, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if there's an easy answer. Like you sort of grew up. I grew up with like architect parents, so it's like a bit easier for me. Uh, I mean, I would say, let's say, I mean, if I'm in like a flow state, it's really easy to like do what we're doing, right? Because then I don't need to like worry that much about um, like I just want to create something like cool that people can experience in like a very like I do keep their experience in mind, but it's not necessarily like I don't need to draw details on how stuff's gonna, be like put together in real life, right? So it's a bit more about like the experience. But I guess in real life it's about the experience. So I'm trying to figure out. To be honest, I think it's like a bit of like working on like the skill for a long time, and then it becomes more intuition.
Mm.
If you don't, then it's like I guess being like if you're an athlete, then you gotta have like a little bit of a talent, but like you gotta work a lot, and then it becomes like these moves become easier. So when I'm like building something, it's always in the back of my mind. Especially for this, where experience is like the number one thing. Like I'm thinking, oh, what material would this be? As I'm like building it, because it could be anything. What we're doing.
Right.
So, or like, would this be animated? What kind of space it is? Like, how like who's going to use this, right? Is it going to be like a huge like stadium-ish thing, or is it going to be like a little like house for like private, with private like dwellings? So yeah, I guess it's like a bit of both. What you said.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about the lounge, right? Like the colors you chose and then the experience, like you were very intentional about like, well, they should be entering from here. And when they enter from here, then there's going to be like a welcome desk where they can learn and they can feel like they're being greeted and that they're not just like on their own to figure things out. And then you walk through there and you see all these screens, and what does
Yeah,
that make you feel
like
like?
depends on the space, right? Like for the lounge, we want it to be like a bit of a sensory overload. At like the main areas, like there's all these like with the colors and like the events, but then there's always like quiet little corners. Like especially when you enter, it's more intimate, right? Like,
Mhm.
but then yeah, I mean, you do think of all these things. Like you wouldn't want to do that many colors, that many screens, and like all of that in like in someone's house. So you want that to be a bit more like I mean, depends. It really depends. Maybe you want your like house, like virtual like house, to be a bit more like crazy, because you could be crazy. Like your house, you have a house in the physical world that's a bit less crazy, probably. So maybe you want something like that's out there, which makes
Hell
sense.
yeah. I need that.
Yeah. Like it doesn't need to be big, but it could be like really cool. It could be like defying like physics a little bit, like what stuff around you, like
You don't like
animated.
doing that, John.
Huh?
You don't like to defy physics.
Me? No,
Yeah.
I mean like, you can't like no, but I mean I guess you can't really. You have to have like some sort of a base because what we're doing, like, it still needs to be like a city. It can't just be
Yeah.
everything floating. Everything is like crazy. You need to have like some sort of like our grid is very like where we're like stuck in the grid, which is nice because then you can do anything you want in the grid, like sort of like New York, but like you're like sort of like there's some order to it. So people are like if you continue down this road, you'll hit the festival space, and you know what I mean. Like if you hit like any of the, let's call them avenues, like the ones that are going towards the center, if you
Mhm.
follow that towards like the center, you know where you're gonna get. Like we can like number the streets or like very like clearly, so people know where they are, how to get around.
Yeah.
But then you can have all this cool stuff happening, but it's not like they're like, oh, what's happening?
What's going on, King Creole? Thanks for popping by.
It's funny, John, you say that because I can receive that wholly. If physics is the grid that you're working within, and what we're doing, which is the entertainment, humanity is our grid. Like we have to really, really connect with people to understand that our limits are here. You know,
Yeah.
like if we have a real situation, we can go build a theme park next to that sort of emotion of real people and how they receive things. And I've always correlated that with Walt Disney. You know, he was a real people's type of person, but his imagination beyond being a real people's type of person led him to do the theme parks that he did, because you walk in there, you feel at home. You just feel like that castle is yours. You know, Small World After All is, you know, singing to you. You know, it's that sort of connection that I think when you dive into the complexity of the human being, you can do anything. You can go to your medium, which is architecture, which for Rashard is just building content, me building music, you Trey music, you lay the psychology of things and really, really working out platforms for people to actually work and be safe. You can approach that with amazing dynamics because people are not, you know, just straightforward. They're coming from all different angles. So it gives us as creators more levels than just a one directional person that's like all about themselves and don't think about servicing or you know, building things for people to actually feel safe and so on. So I think it like people like to look at like, oh, I'm not an emotional person, I don't do that, like it's some sort of weakness. I feel like I'm the strongest person ever because I can understand people.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way? Like I feel like King Kong some days. I'm like, yeah, I can get through, and then some other person can't. It's just like, bro, you're not listening. Like listening has become this weak thing. It's like that's dope. That's like
Listening's the
so
dopest part of anything. How you respond without listening.
it's a very very it's a super thing, and I think that's why we this day is great for us, man, and we had to talk about it because it's not a weak thing. Do not take emotional intelligence for granted like it's some, oh yeah, it was over there just thinking with emotions or something like that. Nah, you better yield to that person that knows emotional intelligence because it's a great thing. That person can hand you your future and your family's future. That emotional intelligent person can introduce you to generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, it's a beautiful thing, guys. Thank you for tolerating this. I know you thought I was probably coming in today with some you know, some technology, AI. It's like, no, EI.
I did. I was waiting. I had my pen. I was like, all right, man, what am I going to write down?
Right.
No. I mean,
so, you know, you made everybody feel,
This was way cooler.
yeah, feel really, I think uncomfortable for a second. You know, you challenged everyone to really reflect, and I think that's dope. That's doper than coming in and again like you said, Rashard, like we all came in thinking Journey was gonna do some ethos, like, oh, I'm an expert on AI, y'all ain't ready for this, you know, and to kind of come from a different direction, I think it really shows
He flipped the switch.
yeah.
He was like, watch this. These guys.
moving
Here
the
you
needle,
go.
moving the needle in a different direction. So
Right.
one more thing before we camp out. Man, if you can reach a kid that's coming up in these times, just give them a word. What would you say to them? Lay, go.
Never
your
stop
time.
believing.
Take
Well,
your time. Be slow. Don't rush. It's okay. Love on yourself. It's okay to love on people around you. Have learned safe relationships now.
Trey.
I would say think for yourself and be confident with your thoughts. You know, there's a lot of information and things that are coming at you, and it's going to continue to get even crazier. And it's more important than ever to develop your own thoughts and follow your own lead. That doesn't mean to block everybody else out. You know, you still want to be open, but you know, verify things for yourself.
Yep.
John.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't love like giving like big statements because it's like I don't know if it really like applies to everyone, you know. But I don't know. Like I like what Lay said about like being slow because you don't need. I feel like it's so fast paced today that like it, you know, like for some people it will happen like what they want, you know, to achieve. It will happen when they're like 30, 40, 50, you know, like whatever, like and like. Yeah, I think it takes time. I think like developing like a skill is important, you know, like a specific sort of skill. And it really doesn't matter what you do if you're really good at it. Like you'll be set. I think, you know.
Rashard.
I mean, I tell people all the time, dream bigger. No dream is too big. Don't be scared to fail. Failures are lessons. It's the best way to learn. Fail more, and trust your process. Just like all what Lay said, like trust your process. Everyone has their own. So don't look at him or her. You can get motivated. Don't be discouraged, but trust your process.
Wow. And I would probably say, just go see them. Holler at them.
Get out of here, bro.
Trey would tell you. But, thanks for your time, guys. This is beautiful. Everyone's a genius. We really believe that our best idea is going to come from someone that's probably not even on this stream. So keep your eyes and ears open to what's in the world and what's inside of yourself, as Trey said.
That's it, man. We got to get out of here after that one. This is fantastic, bro. Thank you, Journey.
Hey,
Thank you guys for watching.
Hey.
Peace, everyone. Do something genius today.
Genius.